Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Hampton with the Hampton Law Firm. Welcome to our YouTube channel and welcome to our video series today on what is a state jail felony. Today, I want to break down the understanding of what a state jail felony is in Texas and what you can do about it. What are some of your options? What does the law provide for you? Now, if you wait around till the end of this video, I will also give you a free ebook, What to Do If You Have Been Charged with a Crime in Texas. Okay, now as we get started on this, here's what Texas normally does. Of course, this is the way it is in most states. Most crimes are categorized under two possible headings. It's either a felony or it's a misdemeanor. Okay. Obviously, we know misdemeanor cases have a certain range of punishment that are less severe than felony cases. But Texas has kind of an interesting situation. There's kind of an in-between. We know that most felony cases, if you have a felony case, you can have a first-degree felony, which is up to life in prison. Second-degree felony is up to 20 years in prison. Third-degree felony is up to 10 years in prison. And then you have kind of this unique categorization called a state jail felony, where a state jail felony, some people think of it as kind of in between a misdemeanor and a felony. But I want to be very clear about this. Some people think it's not as serious. Say, well, it's not that big of a deal. Well, it is. If you are convicted of a state jail felony in Texas, you're a convicted felon. And all of the limitations of voting and owning a weapon and it being very difficult to find a job, all of those kick in even on a state jail felony. But there are some unique things related to state jail felonies that I want to discuss here today. So first of all, what is a state jail felony? It is an offense that carries a particular label that makes it punishable from a minimum of 6 months in a state jail facility all the way up to 2 years in a state jail facility. So it's not the Texas Department of Corrections. It's a separate facility called a state jail facility. Let me give you some examples of state jail felony offenses in Texas. Here's some that you might be familiar with. Possession of a controlled substance under 1 gram. In other words, if you have a very small usable quantity of methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, even some prescription drugs that meet that definition can be a state jail felony. You can also have DWI with a passenger under a child passenger 15 years of age or under. You can have a forgery of a check, theft of items. You can have a theft of items that are greater than $2,500. You can also have animal cruelty, credit card fraud, evading arrest with a vehicle, burglary of a building. These are some examples of the type of offenses that meet the definition of a state jail felony. Now, let me give you one unique thing, okay? Because a state jail felony was kind of created back in the 90s as kind of a go-between a Texas Department of Corrections punishment and a misdemeanor punishment. There is a provision under the law that I get a lot of contact and a lot of phone calls about called 1244A. Okay. Under the provision of 1244A under Texas law, there is a provision that allows someone to be punished under a misdemeanor punishment for a felony charge. And so what that means is you can technically be charged with a state jail felony and still receive a misdemeanor punishment. Okay. Now, the downside to that is this. I have a lot of people call me and say, hey, Jeff, I got charged with this credit card abuse case, or I've been charged with a possession case. Can you get me a 1244A? Well, I want you to understand what a 1244A is. You can take a 1244A and receive, say, maybe a county jail sentence or even a credit for time served sometimes, depending on how the case is resolved. But if you accept a 1244A, it is a felony conviction. So one of the things I remind my clients, we want to try to prevent you from being a convicted felon. And if you're already a convicted felon, it's not going to matter as much. So your circumstances may be unique depending on your situation. But I think it's important that people understand. I've had so many people call me and say, I took a 1244A and I want this off my record. You can't get it off your record if you take a 1244A, okay? So that's some of the examples. Now, let's say you've previously been in trouble before. One of the examples is people say, can you raise a state jail felony to a higher level offense? Yes, you can. If you have received a TDC level conviction where someone has actually been to prison as a result of that, you can actually take those prior felony convictions and elevate or enhance the charge to a higher level offense, like a third degree or maybe even a second degree felony. Also, if you have had 2 state jail felony trips to the state jail facility, 2 prior convictions, you can also be enhanced to a third degree or higher level offense depending upon your actual convictions. So my point is, if you or a loved one is a repeat offender and you're facing a state jail, you could be facing a very significant, serious charge now that's been elevated to a higher level offense with a very long prison sentence attached to it. So you may have some questions. It may not seem like it's a big deal on the surface, but it's very important. If you don't want to become a convicted felon and you don't want to have to go to prison, it's important that you make sure that you deal with an attorney who has the experience of possibly being able to get this off your record and prevent you having to go to jail. So if you have any questions or would like a free consultation, don't hesitate to contact the Hampton Law Firm at 817-877-5200. By the way, if you'll click the link right below, I'll send you a free ebook, What to Do If You Have Been Charged with a Crime in Texas. Thanks again for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you on our next video.